My name is Tyler Grant. I'm 34 years old, born and raised in a small blue-collar town in Ohio. For most of my life, I didn't chase status. I didn't dream of luxury cars or skyscraper offices. I believed in simplicity, in honesty, in building a quiet life with someone who'd love me for who I was, not what I could become. Turns out, that was my first mistake. Because 3 years ago, the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with looked me straight in the eyes and told me I had no ambition. And then she walked out of our apartment and out of my life, like I was some embarrassing chapter she needed to forget. But life has a funny way of coming full circle. Last Friday, I walked into her office building, not to beg, not to explain, not to win her back, but to finalize the acquisition paperwork for the company she worked for. That's right. I bought it. Every inch of it. And the look on her face when she saw me, calm, steady, quietly holding all the cards, was worth every sleepless night I spent building myself from scratch. But I'm not here to tell you some cliché story about success and revenge. I'm here to tell you what really happened. How love turned into betrayal. How I fell hard. How I rebuilt. Not just to prove her wrong, but to prove to myself that I was never broken. Just underestimated. It's a long story. But if you've ever been left behind, ever been called not enough, if someone ever told you that your dreams were too small or your future didn't shine bright enough for them, then stay with me. Because this isn't just a story about what I lost. It's about what I found, in silence, in pain, and in absolute determination. Let me take you back to where it all began. Back then, life wasn't flashy, but it felt full. Lena and I met in college. We were both 19, both trying to make sense of the world. She was bold, magnetic, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and make heads turn without saying a word. Me, I was quieter, more grounded. I studied computer science, did freelance tech support in the evenings to pay the bills, and spent weekends fixing old laptops and watching indie films. We moved in together after graduation, a one-bedroom apartment above a bakery that always smelled like warm cinnamon. It wasn't much, but it was ours. We made late-night pasta when we were broke, binge-watched documentaries under blankets in winter, and shared dreams about the kind of future we'd build. Lena talked about PR firms and fashion campaigns. She wanted to be someone powerful, someone people noticed. I respected that. I admired it, even. While she enrolled in her MBA program, I picked up extra work. I never complained. If anything, I was proud that I could support her, even if it meant late nights and worn-out eyes. I thought we were a team. I remember one night, it was her birthday. I surprised her with dinner at this tiny rooftop place I'd saved for months to afford. I gave her a simple necklace, nothing fancy, just something meaningful. She smiled. "Kiss me," said. "You're my safe place." I believed her. But looking back now, I see the cracks were already forming. Little comments, jokes with sharp edges. Like the time she laughed and said, "Maybe one day you'll be working under me." I smiled then, laughed with her. I thought it was playful. But maybe, just maybe, she meant it. She started changing once she landed a job at a rising PR firm downtown. The Lena I knew, the one who danced barefoot in the kitchen or hummed 90s songs off-key, she started disappearing behind designer heels and business brunches. Suddenly, everything had to be curated, controlled, posted. She wanted me to upgrade. My clothes, my car, my life. "You're so smart, Tyler. Why waste it in IT support? You could start a real business. Make actual money. I brushed it off at first. Thought maybe she just wanted the best for me. But somewhere in between those lines, I started feeling small. Still, I loved her. So I stayed steady. Kept showing up. Kept believing that what we had was real, deeper than ambition, stronger than image. Until one day, she started coming home later. Work dinners. Client emergencies. Conference calls at 10 p.m. She said I was being paranoid when I asked. Said I should trust her. So I did. But I also started noticing little things. Her phone was always on silent. She started taking calls in the hallway. Laughed less when she was with me. Didn't touch me as much. And once, just once, I caught a look on her face when I told her I'd turned down a high-risk startup job offer. It wasn't concern. It wasn't love. It was disappointment. Like I had failed some invisible test. But I still believed. Still hoped. Because love, when it's real, survives rough seasons. Right? That's what I told myself. Every night she came home a little colder. Every morning she left without saying goodbye. I was clinging to a version of us that no longer existed. I just didn't know it yet. I think the hardest part of losing someone isn't the goodbye. It's the slow fade. The part where they're still physically there, sipping coffee across the table, texting in the passenger seat, but emotionally, they're already gone. That's what it felt like with Lena. She still said, "Good morning," but it sounded automatic. Still kissed me goodbye, but it was a brush, not a connection. And I kept telling myself I was imagining things. That work stress was getting to her. That maybe I needed to try harder. So I did. I cleaned the house more often. Started cooking dinner even when I got home late. Planned weekend getaways. But most of the time, she'd cancel. Too busy. Tight deadline. Big pitch Monday. And her phone? Always on silent. Face down. Thumb guarding the screen like it was a state secret. One night, I reached over to grab it, just to check the time. Her reaction? She snatched it so fast, I thought I touched fire. Her eyes flared, just for a second. Then she smiled, fake. "Sorry, babe, work drama. You know how it is." I nodded. But something inside me clicked. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't even anger. It was silence. Sharp, clear silence. The kind that doesn't scream. It watches. So I started observing. Her phone would buzz at 1 a.m., and she'd turn over like it was nothing. She changed her passwords. Started showering before coming home. She began using phrases I'd never heard before. Market positioning. Client optics. Team chemistry. One night, I heard her on the phone in the hallway. She was whispering, not quite laughter, but soft, intimate. And she said, "He's sweet, but he's stuck." I froze. She wasn't talking about a coworker. She was talking about me. I didn't say anything. I just stood in the kitchen, stirring my coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. When she came back in, I smiled. Told her I was going to bed early. She kissed my forehead. It felt like pity. The next few days, I became a ghost in my own home. Watching. Listening. Recording details in my mind. Her perfume changed. She stopped wearing the necklace I gave her. She called me Ty less often, started calling me babe, like I was interchangeable. I started digging. Nothing crazy. No stalking. Just digital footprints. Found a second email address tied to her LinkedIn. Then one night, Her phone lit up on the couch when she was in the shower. I didn't touch it, just glanced. One notification. Room 917 confirmed. 7:30 p.m. check-in. Name, M. Bennett. M. Bennett. A name I'd never heard. I took a screenshot with my own phone. Saved it. Didn't say a word. I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding. That she had a work meeting. That M was her manager. But I knew better. I started noticing a pattern Thursday nights. Always out. Late for a pitch. One of those nights, I followed her. Not far, just discreetly. Stayed 3 cars back. She wasn't at the downtown bar she told me about. She was walking into a boutique hotel with him. The man I'd seen once on her IG stories months ago, a marketing executive, flashy, too polished, the type she used to mock. I sat in my car for an hour. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared through the windshield and made a decision. This wasn't just about cheating. This was about betrayal layered under years of sacrifice. I thought about every dinner I cooked while she studied. Every night I stayed up so she could rest. Every time I told her, "You're doing great. I'm proud of you," even when I was exhausted. And now she was building a new life on the foundation of what I gave her. That night, I didn't go home. I booked a cheap motel outside the city and sat with a notebook. No laptop. No phone. Just me and a plan. Because if she thought I was just going to disappear quietly into the background like a footnote in her career, she had no idea what was coming. I went home the next morning before she did. She walked in around 9 a.m. wearing the same clothes she left in. Hair tousled. Eyes puffy. She gave me a quick smile like nothing had happened. "Morning," she said casually, heading straight to the bathroom. I watched her walk past like a stranger in my own house. That was the day everything inside me changed. Not with a scream. Not with a confrontation. With silence. I made breakfast. Sat across from her as she sipped coffee and checked emails. She told me she had a massive presentation this week and might need to work late again. I nodded. Then I reached into my bag and slid a small envelope across the table. She looked up. "What's this?" I said nothing. She opened it. Inside was a printed photo, grainy, black and white, from the motel's security camera. It showed her walking into the lobby, holding hands with M. Bennett. She froze. No words. No excuses. Just a flicker of fear in her eyes. Then she tried to recover. "It's not what you think," she said. I smiled, not bitter, not mocking. Just calm. "I'm not here to fight you, Lena," I said. "I just want you to know that I know." She looked down. Her voice cracked. "Tyler, But I stood up. "Don't," I said softly. "I don't need your reasons. I don't need apologies. I don't even need an explanation." I picked up my keys and walked to the door. Before I stepped out, I turned back. "You once told me I had no ambition." She said nothing. "I just want you to remember this moment, because everything that happens next started here." And with that, I left. No anger. No threats. Just purpose. I stayed in my friend's garage for a few weeks. Brought my laptop, that notebook, and an idea that had been sitting in the back of my mind for over a year. See, while Lena thought I was just some stuck-in-place tech guy, I'd quietly been building something. A prototype for a digital asset management tool, smarter, faster, AI-assisted. I never launched it. I was waiting for the right time. That time had come. I started coding nonstop, day and night. Built out the core system. Reached out to a few old college friends in Silicon Valley. One of them had just landed seed funding for a startup accelerator. I pitched. I showed them the demo. They were stunned. In 6 weeks, I had my first angel investor. In 3 months, I had a team. In 1 year, we had clients. And guess who one of our biggest competitors turned out to be? The firm Lena worked at. The one she sacrificed everything for. They laughed us off in the beginning. But soon, our software was winning contracts. Beating theirs. And when their CEO stepped down, and they began searching for strategic acquisition opportunities, guess whose name ended up on the buyer shortlist? Mine. After that moment at the kitchen table, I never raised my voice again. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I went to war silently. The best revenge isn't loud. It's strategic. Surgical. And I had one rule. No emotion. Only execution. The first step was disappearing, not physically, but digitally. I changed my phone. Locked down my social media. Unlinked all shared accounts. I removed my name from the lease, split the utilities, even opened a brand new bank account. Clean break. But I wasn't just escaping. I was building. I turned that idea I'd once called a side project into a full-time mission. The platform I'd been working on wasn't just a tool, it was a disruptor. A streamlined, AI-driven asset control and brand management suite that could revolutionize how PR firms manage client deliverables, approvals, and timelines. The irony? Lena's firm was the kind of company my software could completely replace. I didn't rush. I didn't post wins online. I didn't seek applause. I gathered proof of concept. Met with tech incubators. Had weekly calls with early adopters. Rewrote the code base. Secured IP protections. I wasn't just creating a product. I was building a weapon. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Lena. Quietly. She was thriving, or so it looked. Promotions, events, yacht parties, slick Instagram captions. Manifest. Monetize. Move up. But I knew that world better than she thought. Her company was growing fast, but over-leveraged. Internally messy. Known for aggressive campaigns, but a high employee churn rate. I read every Glassdoor review. Watched how they treated creatives. Took notes. They were strong on the outside. But I'd seen war before. I knew when a structure looked solid, but had rotting beams beneath. So I waited. Then I struck. Not with a takeover bid, not yet. I offered my software to 2 of their biggest clients at a fraction of the price and double the efficiency. They switched. The PR firm scrambled. Their account managers panicked. Deadlines missed. Deliverables late. They sent an email blast to damage control. My team leaked a case study showing how our product cut delivery times by 40%. That was the first crack. More clients started whispering. Who's behind this? What's Tyler Technologies? Then came the articles. New startup quietly eating market share from coastal giants. Legacy PR firms at risk as lean tech teams disrupt delivery chains. And finally, the email. From their board. They were exploring options for strategic partnerships to survive the growing tech pressure. And just like that, I was invited to the table. I still remember the boardroom. Tall glass windows. Modern chairs. And Lena, sitting at the far end. She didn't see me at first. But when she did, when she recognized me walking in, not as Tyler the tech guy, but as Tyler Monroe, founder and CEO, her face dropped. She blinked twice, like she couldn't believe it. I took my seat, nodded politely. Good to see you again, Lena. Her lips barely moved. You built this? I smiled. No ambition, remember? The meeting wasn't emotional. It was numbers, percentages, market gaps, equity buyouts. She barely spoke. By the end, my team owned 51% of the firm. And Lena? She wasn't fired. I had a different plan for her. I demoted her. Silently. Stripped her title, moved her department, reassigned her clients. She was now in charge of legacy retention accounts. A polite way of saying she handled small, dated contracts nobody cared about. She still walked through the same halls. But now, no one listened when she spoke. She had to watch meetings from the back row. And every time she opened a software dashboard it said, "Powered by Monroe AI." I didn't humiliate her. I didn't destroy her life. I just made sure she knew what it felt like to be invisible. Scene ends with Tyler walking out of the boardroom, briefcase in hand, sun shining behind him. Calm expression. Voiceover. She said I was stuck. She just didn't realize I was getting ready to launch. The day I took full control was quiet. No confetti. No headlines. Just a simple signature, black ink on white paper. The firm Lena once worshipped, the company she said I'd never measure up to, now had my name on every legal document. Tyler Monroe, majority shareholder. The boardroom was silent as my legal advisor slid the final agreement across the table. I signed it in 4 strokes. Click. Done. I looked up, met her eyes. She was sitting 2 seats down, flanked by 2 senior executives she used to mentor. Now, they didn't even look her way. She opened her mouth to say something, but the CEO, former CEO, stood first. Congratulations, Mr. Monroe, he said, forcing a smile. We're looking forward to this new era. Lena didn't say a word. Her silence said everything. But this wasn't the climax. That came 2 weeks later. We held a mandatory staff meeting. 300 plus employees, plus remote workers dialing in. I took the stage. Introduced myself not just as the new owner, but as someone who'd been on the other side of the system. I told them my story. Not in detail, not naming her. But I spoke about being overlooked, dismissed, told I wasn't moving fast enough, that my dreams weren't loud enough. I saw heads nodding. People understood. Then I clicked to the next slide. A message appeared on the screen, an audio file labeled Lena internal memo, private. Her eyes widened. She stood up. Tyler, that file isn't relevant. I raised a hand. It is. I pressed play. Her voice came through the speakers. Crystal clear. He's smart, but he'll never build anything meaningful. He's just comfortable. Safe. That's not ambition. That's weakness. The room went dead silent. No one breathed. She slowly sat back down. I turned to the crowd. I've been underestimated my entire life. And I get it. I don't talk much. I build. I study. I stay quiet. But quiet doesn't mean weak. The crowd applauded. Some stood. Lena looked down. She didn't come into work the next day, or the day after. By the following Monday, an HR memo quietly announced that Ms. Bennett would be taking an extended personal leave. No one asked questions, but they all knew. And here's the truth. I didn't destroy her life. I didn't ruin her finances. I didn't expose her publicly. All I did was show her what real ambition looks like. I gave her a front row seat to everything she said I'd never be. And in doing so, I didn't just take back my dignity. I redefined it. Success isn't proving people wrong. It's proving yourself right without saying a word. Every dashboard, every client win, every quarterly report, all powered by the man she once called a waste of potential. And the best part? She had to watch it happen. Scene ends with Tyler walking past a conference room glass wall. On one side, young developers pitch a new feature. On the other side, Lena stands alone at the water cooler, watching. The camera lingers on her face. Voiceover. She left me because she thought I wasn't going anywhere. Turns out, I was just walking quietly toward a much bigger future. The life beyond. This is where the revenge transforms into growth, and the story ends with reflection, peace, and a powerful emotional takeaway. It's been 3 years since that last boardroom meeting. Sometimes, I still get asked if I miss her. If I miss the version of Lena that smiled at my ideas, encouraged my first prototype, made late-night ramen with me on our apartment floor. And the truth? I miss the memory. But not the reality. Because memories don't lie to you. Reality did. After everything, the betrayal, the rise, the takeover, what mattered most wasn't beating her. It was finally seeing myself without her shadow over me. Once upon a time, I thought she was my anchor. Turns out, she was the weight I needed to let go of. I sold 60% of the company last year, not because I was done, but because I was ready to start something different. Now I mentor young developers in low-income schools. I sponsor tech scholarships for veterans trying to restart their lives after service. I still write code. But now, I also write journals, reflections, letters to my younger self. Every so often, I walk past that old building downtown, the one where her firm used to be. The name on the front has changed. Monroe Innovations. She doesn't work there anymore. Last I heard, she moved to another state. Started a wellness blog. Talks about healing after burnout. I wish her well. I truly do. Because at the end of all this, all the hurt, the humiliation, the silence, I realized something simple. She didn't break me. She revealed me. She showed me exactly where I needed to grow, to focus, to rise. And while she may have left me because she thought I had no ambition, it was that very quiet ambition that ended up changing everything. I don't live with bitterness, or anger, or even pride. Just peace. I wake up every day not needing to prove anything. She showed me exactly where I needed to grow, to focus, to rise. And while she may have left me because she thought I had no ambition, it was that very quiet ambition that ended up changing everything. I don't live with bitterness, or anger, or even pride. Just peace. I wake up every day not needing to prove anything. She took everything, except my soul, and from that, I rebuilt my life, not for her, not for revenge, but for me. Speech balloon. If this story hit home, drop a comment. I read every single one. And if you've got your own version of comeback, we're here to listen. Bellhop Bell. Subscribe for more real stories that prove you don't need noise to be powerful. You just need purpose.